That is the one, the most important one of the day. The Male Loser Epidemic by ShoeOnHead. Well, here's my simple view. Also, if you like this kind of content, please consider liking, subscribing, and clicking the notification bell. Thank you, I appreciate it. Anyways, there is no male loser epidemic. There never was a male loser epidemic. You know what that is? An equality epidemic. All the women that are talking about a male loser epidemic, it all follows the same pattern. They don't make enough money. They don't make more money than the women talking about it. So my theory is, it's not that men got worse, it's just that men and women are now financially equal. So, they're not actually losers. It's just that now, ladies, you have to deal with the fact that you are also in a relationship, financially responsible for each other now. Congratulations, this is what you wanted.
Hello again, friends. Sorry I've been gone for quite a bit. Hopefully nothing too crazy happened. I feel like every time I take a break, like, a war breaks out or something, but thankfully that—
And not gonna lie, Shu is actually kinda cutie. Like, I think Kitsunero hit like 70k subs, and ShoeOnHead literally just dropped the super chat and like congratulating her. Like, she a cutie.
that did not happen. But at least we found out the real Epstein file.
There is no list. There has never been a list. Stop talking about the list. There is none. If we haven't seen a list, then there is no list. The American establishment. The only reason why we will never see that list, that's the only reason, is because it completely derails the American government. That's why we'll never see that thing. That is just not happening. You have no job. Every man makes more than you. Hashtag stay unemployed. Well, that works too. That works too. The question is, can you financially carry that as a man? Which, it gets harder and harder every year.
Were the friends we made along the way. Welcome back to the ShoeOnHead channel. If it is your first time here, run. I am ShoeOnHead, and on this channel I like to cover—
I will also very likely crash out in this again. So get ready, because I will see the most diabolical shit said by bitter women ever.
Cultural issues, mostly surrounding men's issues. It's what I've been doing for over a decade, and frankly, I'm exhausted. Many of you have been along for the ride, and you have seen me go from a chipper, lively 24-year-old making fun of BuzzFeed and Tumblr feminists, to a bitter, calloused 34-year-old talking about very real and growing men's issues. One of the main men's issues I have been covering in great detail lately has been the male loneliness epidemic. Yeah, but turns out, I was wrong. We don't have a male loneliness epidemic. We have a male loser epidemic. It's not a male loneliness epidemic. No, it's a male mediocrity epidemic.
The thing is, I find that funny, right? The double standard, actually. Okay, so if a woman makes, I don't know, 2K a month, for example, here in Germany, after taxes, she's independent. If a man makes 2K a month after taxes, he's a loser, or he's mediocre. How does that make sense? You make the same amount of money. You make just as much. How does that make sense? You are the loser. I think men have to step up. I think men have to step up their standards too. And I've recently realized, somebody said something incredibly smart. Somebody said something incredibly smart. If you date a girl, if she were a man, would she be a loser? I mean, quite frankly, I'm a loser. And my girlfriend could be considered a loser. But it's equal. So that is interesting.
It's a male loser epidemic.
The male loser epidemic has gotten
Not this chick. Oh god, I saw her. Remember her from the Abba and Preach video where she was talking about the male loser and like her being a gold digger? Holy fuck.
bad that it's honestly so pathetic at this point.
Now, I don't always talk about men's issues. No, sometimes I talk about politics, and sometimes I mix the two together. Now, I know a lot of you don't like politics, you don't care about politics, but politics cares about you, and it will enter your life no matter how hard you try to avoid it.
Very true. I never cared about politics particularly until it entered gaming, and then I was like, well, time to pull out the right-wing gamer grift and talk about politics. Because you want me to engage with it? So now you're gonna hear my dog shit opinions. Very simple. Men aren't losers, they're just not giving women special treatment anymore because we protested against it back in the day. And now still. Is it a we? Is it a we? For women, is it a we? I'd actually argue it's not a we. I'd actually argue it's not a we. It's just a very loud minority of women that went crazy, I would argue. Because I think if most women had the choice, and I'm talking most normal women, had the choice, have a husband with a stable income and being able to stay at home, or go to work, I think most women, not all, but I think like maybe like 70% of women would rather prefer that. At least most women that I know would prefer that. Agree with Poke's statement. No matter what I do, there's always someone who needs to say that's nothing, pretty much. I think we can rise up at this period of time. Maybe. I don't know. Even when there is a divorce case, 90% of people say he was manly enough. Okay, yeah. Not every woman is crazy. The bat crazy one. True. There are some very sane women in this chat. We as in it was women who protested, not all of us. I don't agree with it, but I still say we because I am a woman. Yeah, sure. I just don't like this, like, I don't want people carry the fault of other individuals. Like, you are not at fault for what other women do. That kind of thing.
But thankfully, I have the perfect app to help you navigate this
ground news.
Difficult, confusing political landscape. So let's quickly give a shout out to today's sponsor, Ground News, before we get into this video, shall we? Ground News is a website and an app that gives readers a fun and transparent way to read the news from all across the political spectrum, from left, right, and center. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of the political bias, ownership, and headlines that helps you understand the full story and make sure you're getting both sides. One of my favorite features from Ground News has to be the blind spot feature, which shows you news stories that have been covered by only one side of the political spectrum and ignored by the other. For example, here is a story about how the CIA uncovered a Russian—
I just realized this actually. I never really looked at her that way, but now I realize it actually, which is interesting. She always makes herself super pretty for those, the regular part of the video, she's like just pretty, right? But then like for like the ads, she puts like red lipstick, like interesting dresses and like stuff. It's so weird. Why is she doing that?
Gate fraud, and right away we can see how it has been covered by 41 sources, and out of those 41 sources, 93% of them lean right, with only 2 left-wing outlets reporting the story. Ground News also makes it really easy to compare headlines to see just how political bias can affect the framing of a story. For example, this story about Zoran Mamdani winning the Democratic primary in New York. This left-leaning outlet says Zoran Mamdani's win just got a little sweeter. And meanwhile, the right-wing outlet says, meet Zoran Mamdani, the man who will ruin New York. As
you know what she kind of reminds me of that, or what she reminds me of, which I've recently just watched. Ground News low-key sucks unless you do a paid subscription. I could see that. Someone tell her bright red lipstick is not good. You notice now? Yep, I've noticed now. You know what she reminds me of? That one movie, Pearl Harbor. with Ben Affleck. I just realized the main female lead, so to speak, without the glasses, the bright red lipstick, the brown hair, I see it.
You could see very different vibes. I have been using Ground News since 2021 because I think it is so informative, so fun, and it helps me see how different stories are framed so differently, and I love it. I highly recommend it. It's one of the few apps that I wake up and just immediately check. But don't just take my word for it. Even the Nobel Peace Center called it an excellent way to stay informed, avoid echo chambers, and expand your worldview. High praise. Best of all, I am currently offering 40% off their Vantage plan, which is the plan I use to access all of their amazing features. This comes out to only like $5 a month, which is like the price of a coffee. So go to ground.news/shoe or use the QR code right there on screen, or the link in the video description down there to subscribe to Ground News today. I feel like what they're doing is really important, especially right now, and it helps us approach the news in a more fair and balanced way. So thank you to Ground News for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad.
I didn't! I never do! I never do! Why does she do this to me every single time? I'm not retarded, Cricket, I'm aware.
Right. Now, let's get back to the video. With all these issues men are facing, they seem to be moving to the right and the Republicans more, since the left and Democrats have essentially just become the young men eat and die movement. Months ago, I covered how the Democratic Party was losing young men.
True. Leftists are like, pull yourself up. You know how Shue put it the last time? The left is like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And the other one is like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Here's how. You will have money. You will have a job. You will have a beautiful wife. I mean, they're both lying at this point. We know this. But regardless.
Men, and I predicted Kamala Harris would lose in part because of young men overwhelmingly voting for Trump. And I was correct. Well, now the Democrats have unveiled their final solution to the right-wing male loser epidemic. Democrats spending millions to learn how to speak to American men and win.
You don't need to spend millions. You literally... How does one learn how to speak to American men or young men in general? Just look what's going on. Just look what young men desire. Dude. It is not that hard. You could literally just go on literally every platform. Look for what young men want, especially young lonely men. And you will immediately can tell what they want, what they need, where they want to be. It's not that hard. The average man, in fact, I would argue that the average man is in fact more, like, is more desiring of like a family than the average woman. I argue. It's a trend I've noticed. The average man is more likely to want the family. It is not that hard. It really isn't. The right doesn't have a kill all men movement, obviously, that appeals to men. Very much. Fun fact. Here's a fun fact. I don't know where everyone else was, but here in Germany, on Father's Day, we had an anti-man protest, an anti-Father's Day protest. A protest where women marched and were advocating for the banning of Father's Day. I have never seen any man protest against anything that was pro-women. I have never seen that, really. That does not happen. I don't know. I don't know. They go around saying, like, men hate women. Yes, but I've not seen a single man protest, for example, against Women's Day, Mother's Day, whatever, right? That doesn't happen. Boys' Day, Girls' Day. No man protests against that. Men are an alien race. You don't need a special way of communicating with them. Men. Creatures from a different universe. Written by, I don't know, what young men desire. Hot Wheels and a chicken sandwich. Yeah, that's already a red flag, chat. What you call hot take, although it doesn't have to be hot. You get the idea. Well, no Father's Day, then no Mother and Women Days either. I mean, they are trying to turn humans into an androgynous species. I don't know how, but they're trying. And I'm not for it. I'm not for it. Time to filter my community real quick again, because it's needed. There's only 2 genders, male and female. Everything else is in your head. Protesting Father's Day while complaining about the lack of men stepping up as fathers is insane. They don't want men to be fathers, but they want men to be fathers. I don't know how that works.
Back the working class. Democrats have blown millions of dollars on efforts to appeal to American men who turned to President Donald Trump in droves on Election Day in hopes of winning back the working class. Democrats have spent $20 million.
And it's not just white men, white young men. It's black young men. It's Latino young men. It's just young men across the board. And it also has been more women than ever before. More black people in general ever before. More Latinos than ever before that voted Republican. This is not hard to understand what's going on here. How Hot Wheels are red flag. It isn't. Hot Wheels are nice. Hot Wheels are nice. Especially, you know, I had so many Hot Wheels as a child. It's actually crazy. Trans also, some people have both organs, but they're not a separate gender. They're not a separate gender. It's like a bug, basically. It's like a bug. It's a mistake. That was not supposed to happen. Just like a woman who is, for example, born without a uterus is still a woman. She was supposed to have that, but doesn't. It's just a mistake that happened. But that's it. Just like a human with one leg is still a human. As a woman, I low-key feel unsafe around liberal men. The conservative ones are just better. I hope more to go to the right. True and real. I mean, there are people who run both sides. True.
Million on their efforts, with donors and strategists holing up in luxury hotel rooms, brainstorming how to convince working class men to return to the party. Ah yes, nothing more relatable to working class men than luxury hotel rooms. Great job, guys. The plan? Codename SAM, or Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, promises to use the funds to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. The effort also recommends Democrats buy advertisement in video games, among other things.
These dudes are just retarded. I'm gonna say these people are retarded. I do not want to see we are trying to get politics out of video games. We are trying to get politics out of video games. I don't want to see Joe Biden's face while I'm playing, I don't know, Fortnite or something. Like just a banner in the corner popping up. Vote Democrat if you're a young man. I don't want to see that, bro. What do you mean? Get out of here. These people are so dumb. These are so retarded. Dude, there's no way. Like, imagine you get, like, a kill in some game and, like, vote Democrat. Political ads in games, Obama enters the chat. Finally, obey me. All the ugly characters in the video games, the adverts. Bro, Concord was an entire, political voting, thingy. I don't want to see Joe Biden's face anyway. I'm just saying. And I don't want any more woke. True and real. So true. Yeah, I don't know how they ever come to that conclusion. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense how they thought that putting ads into video games is a good idea.
The Democratic Party is treating young men like exotic animals they're studying. Now, as you can see here is the...
That's because they're so, like, disconnected from not just young men, but men in general, that they just don't know what to do with them. They just don't know. Because they never cared. They only focus on, like, the quote-unquote marginalized group, though I don't believe there's many genuinely marginalized group. I think most so-called marginalized groups are doing it to themselves by continuing their victim culture. Most people don't care about black people. Most people don't care about LGBTQ. As long as you're not a fucking weirdo. I'm just gonna say it. Most people won't care that you're disabled. You're just putting yourself in the you and everyone else into like this victim bubble when you aren't. They are exotic animals to them. There's been years of everyone demonizing men, so now most people have a skewed idea of them, which means they don't actually know what to do with them. Correct. As that one lesbian lady actually put it, men are the underdogs now, and feminism is killing countries. That's pretty much what she said. And also, just look at the, you know, we like these they are always like this anti-men thing, like men are privileged, men are this, men are that. But they never learn. I think most of these people don't learn what happened to Nora Vincent when she was living as a man.
A young man in his natural habitat, in a dark, messy cave surrounded by Taco Bell wrappers and empty Mountain Dew bottles. Here is another young man, as you can see, also dwelling in a dark cave. This one...
I would not put Destiny as the average young man. The average young man doesn't have a threesome and sucks another man's dick. I would argue. This is still the worst shit I've ever seen. I'm gonna be honest. This is the worst shit I've ever seen. On Twitter. I accidentally stepped in shit. And it was Destiny sucking dick. Men are being treated by the left like Squid Game players. Horses. Yeah. Move and you die.
Has dyed his hair blue to scare off potential predators. Unfortunately, it also scares off potential mates. But moving on, here is another...
And he's a potential weirdo as well with his revenge corn. I had a massive woke era, and during that time, I seriously thought that all men wanted to hurt me. Then I started talking to them, and I was like, oh, these are just people, and boom, now I'm conservative. Bro was like, men are actually people. That's crazy. Oh, hello. Oh, also, Blue Hitler. Nah, it's just like, I don't know. I've seen a recent clip where a guy covered something. Basically, a chick cried on TikTok, recording herself having a complete meltdown. Because she was unfriendly, she was disrespectful, trying to infiltrate this man's relationship. While, right? She was like complaining that like he's touching her, and like they were in a relationship, by the way, right? They were completely in a relationship. Like he's touching her, and like she's trying out different outfits for him, and like this is so weird and creepy, and like she undresses in front of him, right, for like changing outfits and stuff. And like I was like, bro, how the why did you enter? Why did you infiltrate? And he basically said like if she doesn't stop, he's gonna just like slap her, and like she's annoying and he doesn't like her. Reminder, these are basically two strangers, and she tried to infiltrate their relationship. And then she was like crying and like, all men want to kill us, all men want to. That's why we hate men. That's why I hate men. It's because men tried to kill us. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? Who raised this woman that she reached that conclusion? Bro, it was crazy.
Young man, we think. We're not quite sure about this one. We're still studying it. Listen, Democrats, instead of spending $20 million to do that stupid maybe you should, I don't know, actually listen to men. I listen to men for free all the time. All I have to do is read my comment section. Let's see here. ShoeOnHead is a perfect example of why we need to repeal the 19th.
Holy shit. I know a VTuber, I know a Christian VTuber that's also a rabbit, and a woman, and she was like, repeal the 19th! Father holding his daughter, insecure girls got pissed. How is that even possible? Oh yeah, right. That's also a weird one. If a mother holds a daughter, she is a good mother. If a father holds his daughter, changes diapers, bathes her, he's a creep and a pervert. How did this happen? How did this happen? I've also seen that. How did this happen? How did we reach a point where a father can't even take care of his child? Mostly his daughter. It is so weird. Yes, if I have a daughter, I will change her diapers. I will hold her. I will wash her. I do not care. Dude, these guys are so... And it's like, that's a creepy fact, right? When they see a man interacting with a father interacting with his dog, they project something sexual. And when they do that, I feel like they should be put on a list. They never experienced the father's love. Either that... This is like... Most women need to learn that not every man... Well, maybe not most women. Those crazy ladies. I don't think this is most women. This is, again, a loud minority. A lot of these women need to learn that not every man is their ex-boyfriend or their father. Just saying. I know it sounds dumb, but I was actually shocked to discover that most men are just normal people. I was deep in the left. That's crazy. I was never particularly, right? I was never particularly politically interested. I was mostly just, most of the time, centrist. With, like, conservative leaning. Like, center-right. And now I'm like, yep, right. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore.
Greetings from Albania. I hate women so much it's unreal. Ooh, shoo, mommy, milkies, 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 mommy, mommy, mommy. One time I got my penis stuck in a soda bottle. Okay, on second thought, maybe my comment section is not the best source.
Since Trump scored big with young male voters last election, Democrats are spending...
Still better than the femboy getting a Red Bull can up his ass.
$20 million to learn how to speak their language. I think it's a waste of money. Maybe these guys should spend their money on teaching men to not be such sexists. Maybe that's
it. But the stats don't bear that out.
I find that funny. They're like, teaching men not to be rapists, teaching men not to be violent, teaching men not to do this, teaching men not to do that. I find that funny. Because we do that. We teach people not to kill. And they still do it. Some still do it. We teach people not to steal. And some still do it. We teach people not to insult others. And most people still do it. That clearly does not work. Also, I don't think most... Here's the hot take. I think most people are sexist. If you heard them say that with the gender swap, you will never hear them say that. You will never hear them say that because that goes against the narrative. But yes, I'm gonna straight up say this. Women are just as sexist as men are. We don't give each other anything. I would even argue that men and women are similarly violent. It's just that the forms of which we do it is different. Men tend to be more physically violent, while women tend to be more emotionally violent or emotionally abusive. Because physically, obviously, that doesn't work.
Look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable...
Here's a new statistic here in Germany. Some places, in some states, whatever you want to call them, we have a birth rate of 1.27. This country's dying, straight up. I don't see that. The average person wants like 1.8 children. The average person wants that, right? I don't know how you make 1.8 children. Maybe you take an arm or something. I don't know. But that's obviously not happening. And you know why that's not happening? Not just because of financial reasons. Not just because the world is going... People like arguing, the world is going to shit. We don't have money. People still had children in World War II. People still had children when money wasn't as readily available as it is now. Housing wasn't as readily available as it is now. The argument that the world is a worse place is actually straight up a lie. The world is not... In fact, the world is better than it has ever been. It just feels like that because we're getting bombarded constantly by negative news, bad information the entire time. Because that's what gets views. That's what gets attention. But yes, I would argue the average person still wants children. It's just that we are receiving more and more propaganda to anti-family, right? We can already see it in like movies, TV shows, right? The father's a bumbling fool and the mother's competent. If you constantly see that, you don't want children because you think all men are bumbling fools. What do you do with that? Women are physically violent towards their partners sometimes. True, true. I would also argue that it's much easier for a woman to get away with being violent towards a man because, you know, it's a man. He likely did something wrong if she got violent or angry or something like that. Just maybe that. That's just my theory. Don't lesbians have the highest rates in DV or something? Yes, they do. And gay men have the lowest. I guess because the power balance is right there. Like, equal. You can kill me, I can kill you, so we don't fight. Something like that, I don't know. When physically hurting their male partners is always brushed off because we can do less damage, but abuse is bad regardless of how strong the abusers. Yep. And men are getting made fun of. I saw a tweet of somebody walking in like a SA center, like where you can go and like report your case. And that boy who went in there, he's like 15, 16. I saw that. Was it a tweet? Was it a TikTok? I don't know. But the women actually looked at him in confusion and kind of also disgust. Not because he was a... Maybe not disgust, but more like disbelief, not trustworthy, whatever you want to say it. Because he was a boy, and like, it's not taken serious, right? If a boy walks in and like has a story to tell, right? That doesn't happen. For them, at least. But also, I would argue that if men genuinely looked at things and considered them just like women abuse or SA or whatever, sexual harassment, I would actually argue that the numbers are much closer than people actually think. Because a lot of things, I know a lot of men where stuff has happened to them that if it would have happened to a woman, it would have been considered abuse. Which is really interesting. Dark romance enjoys abuse, it's love. Bro, that's crazy. Can you check the birth rate in religious populations within Germany? I mean, I could. Give me a second. 1.8 in fact. 1.8 in fact. Interesting. Some say 2.1. Oh, well, that's interesting. Well, people who consider themselves atheists actually have a 0.9 in fact. Very interesting. Okay. Looked it up. See boys literally be congratulated for their SA because the woman who did it was hot. Yeah, it's like, remember when like all like these reports come out of like teachers doing something to their students, and it's like, where was she when I was young? And I'm like, bro, I don't think that boy is a victim. That should have not happened. That's not normal. And they still act like this.
Families, but there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash.
Oh no. The very night I was sitting on my couch writing the script to my video about how the Democrats are spending $20 million.
Also, that woman is wrong. That woman is completely wrong. Again, double standard. If a man lives at home with his parents, he's a loser. If a woman lives at home with her parents, it's like fine, totally fine, right? Here's the thing. More and more young people, men and women, stay at home with their parents because living alone is impossible. I cannot afford rent. That is like 800 euros a month. Nobody can afford that. We don't have apartments here. They're full. Also, it's just straight up cheaper. I could just stay with my parents and save all that money I would waste on an apartment that is not worth, even closely worth, that 800 euros for like a one-bedroom apartment. That's just not worth it. Why would I do that? Why financially would I do that? That is not financially smart. I'd rather just live with my parents, you know, give them a little bit of financial support, like 100, 200 bucks a month, and be good. I have my own room, I have peace and quiet, I don't have to pay a ridiculous amount of money. I love pets. I cannot have a pet in an apartment in Germany. That does not work. I cannot have a dog, a guinea pig, a rabbit, aquariums. I cannot have that because nobody of these fucking people want me to have that. You not even. There's more and more apartments and people who like own these apartments that straight up say they don't want children in their apartments. So not only can I not have pets, I can't even start a family because they don't want me to have children in those apartments. Again, what do you do with that? Nothing. Like the teacher who got knocked up by a 12-year-old. That's so gross. That is so gross. That poor child. Both of those children, in fact. People should be independent, but also take care of the people around them. Maybe I am wrong with saying this, but maybe we need to much more strengthen familiar bonds again. There is no shame in working together with your family. Like, I remember back in the day, right? Maybe I don't remember, but I heard stories of like older people saying like they lived with their children and their children and their children's children. Like, in like a family house. That is now no longer given. Like, 18-year-olds out of the house, gone. I find that so dumb. I found that so dumb. As someone who got fucked over and was planning moving out in 2020, I agree with this. Because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. A man living with his parents is a green flag. He's saving money and keeping up a good relationship with his parents. Nothing wrong with that. True, true. I live away from my parents, not because I don't love them, but to be independent. Yeah, but you're in the position where you can do that. The average young person here in Germany, I think the average is like people leaving their house at like 25, and it's getting older. I've also seen a lot of students who are like, yep, I can't afford living in the city. I'm gonna move back to my parents and drive just like an hour more a day. Still better. I mean, should be a shame about there's shame leaving your parents before you're ready to barely manage to survive outside for your own salary. I mean, should be a shame. Yep, it should be a shame, but it is now normal.
To relate to young men, this came on my TV on Fox News. A Tommy Lahren and Laura Ingraham segment about stay-at-home sons, men who still live at home. Literally minutes after this aired, it went absolutely viral on Twitter for not good reasons. So we are going to unpack this piece by piece. Because even though everyone was mocking it and making fun of it, as far as I saw, nobody was really dissecting it and breaking down exactly why she was so egregiously wrong. So come join me in debunking the male loser epidemic. Because who else better equipped to talk about men's issues than two stupid blonde bimbos? Hold on 1 second.
Shots fired! Two blonde bimbos!
3 stupid blonde bimbos. Sorry. I felt left out. Alright, let's go. Wait. I need my gamer fuel. See? I do drink it. That one's for you, Tectone.
It's a major problem.
Techie got called out. Techie got called out, based. Never thought I'd hear Tectone in a ShoeOnHead video, but cool.
And you know, Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. But Laura, I gotta tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out.
Well, that's what you want. That's what you asked for. That's literally what you asked for. You asked for men to be more like women. You wanted men to be second-rate women. That was your goal. And now you're complaining? Now you're complaining. You want men to be more close to women. But at the same time, you want men to still take up the masculine roles. You, my dear, are retarded.
There that want to get married, they want to have kids, they want to have stable families, but there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash, and that's why we have declining birth rates and a lot of other problems in society. It's time to go out, get a job, breathe the fresh air, meet people in real life. Let's just get back to basics.
Oh, you could definitely meet people in real life if we still had third places, but we don't. People like See, I'm not a fan of alcohol. I don't drink. See, I don't drink. I don't like alcohol. It doesn't taste good. I think it makes most people just absolutely stupid. Do without. If you want to drink, go ahead. I don't care. Regardless, say what you want. But people drinking less alcohol is not a good thing, because the reason that they drink less alcohol is because they don't go out anymore. And since people don't go out anymore, they don't meet anyone. In addition to that, we don't have third spaces anymore, because a lot of retarded governments closed everything during the pandemic, which effectively killed most clubs, most bars, most restaurants, most cafes. There's plenty of cafes in the city I live in. They're just gone. There are no cafes. Like, there's one cafe in my city, because all the others did not survive the pandemic. Okay, most clubs are dead. Nobody goes there. In addition to that, most people work. Most people don't go out after they have like a 40-hour work week, and they work Saturdays as well, and they have a mini job. Ever consider that people also don't have the time for dating anymore as well? Because, you know, you can't even survive on your own. Alcohol equals stupid juice. Agreed.
So first of all, this stay-at-home son thing is not a real thing. It was a random throwaway, self-deprecating joke some contestant on Jeopardy said. One f***ing guy. Because I guess there's nothing else important going on that they could cover on the news. They literally made this into a fake phenomena so they can on young men. Meanwhile, Democrats are spending millions of dollars trying to win back young men. Oh no, the young men are leaving us in droves. How do we get them back? Don't worry, I got this. Hey, you fat, lazy, Cheeto dust-covered slobs, f*** you. Nice. Thanks. I love you. I love you too.
Gay! Gay! Cafe culture in my state has gone shit. Every culture that has anything to do with public anything, where you meet people, are just dead. They're just dead. I mean, I'm not sure if you have seen the clips of like these like speed dating and dating events where just mostly women pull up because men don't go there. Ever seen those? And if there is men, they get no chance. It's really funny. Wait, why are we watching Fox News? Because this is a Fox News clip about two women being retarded. Yeah. No time for dating, agree. There is just less time now. Alcohol should enter the drug. It is a drug. I mean, it is a drug. Straight up. And I think corn should actually enter that one too. Corn should enter that one too. Because it gives almost just as much of a dopamine kick as heroin, fun fact. Like, corn has like a 200% increase. Heroin has like a 300%. Same shit.
Is the amount of young men living home with their parents increasing? Yes. Is it because they're lazy bums and just want to order DoorDash all day? No. And also, they're not paying for DoorDash, Tommy. They're financing it. Come on. Get with the times.
There are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash, and that's why we have declining birth rates.
20 versus 1 is a sickness to society. In society. The balloon thingies, right? I think that's similar to that. Love Island, whatever other things there is, the fucking Bachelorette, The Bachelor, these. Bro, it's just so retarded. And people are like, oh, this is not gonna influence anybody, right? This is not gonna promote cheating. This is not gonna promote, you know, only focusing on, like, looks, only focusing on, like, what is the word? I forgot the word. You get it, right? But I'm like, people can not even differentiate between fiction and reality. You want people to be able to differentiate between a TV show that promotes cheating and IRL cheating? That's just not happening. That's just not happening. Humans are so easily influenced. We are so easily influenced. Everyone here, including me, myself as well. I currently suffer from this. No time for dating because of work. Dude, I've yapped so much with 10 minutes in. This is gonna get worse. There's probably gonna be quite a few Twitter comments as well that are gonna make me absolutely lose my mind. Dating isn't a game. It's the first step towards marriage and family. It shouldn't be trivialized, but it is. You know, you date around a bit. I'm like, I don't get the people that date for fun. I don't get it. I don't understand how you could date for fun. Like, you're just wasting your and the other person's time. And then you're like, and then generally just like, I just don't get in general like this. I don't even get like our current, like, I'm so out of touch with current culture. I just don't get it. Like, most people, they just hang around with others in like weird places. If they're unlucky, they end up with in a relationship with them, and they don't treat their body well, just like you do. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, bro. And then you have stacked like a bunch of bodies and like trauma and like, bro, I just get it. I just don't get it. And dating around always comes with the sleeping around. Very, very true. Very, very true. And unwanted babies that after that have to get deleted because these people are absolutely retarded and they don't know how protection works. Because people always want to have a go with me at like abortion and be like, oh, they don't plan for this. It's an accident. They use protection. Fun fact, the vast majority of abortions are not due to not properly applying protection or using protection and it failing. The vast majority of unwanted babies are made because people are too retarded to actually use protection. Fun fact. This narrative's moving our lives. True. True. Many people just date because they were bored and some just want free stuff. Yeah, a lot of women do that, where they just wanted to get free drinks and shit and do weird shit.
It's time to go out, get a job, breathe the fresh air.
Have either of you tried applying for a job as a young man recently? Or tried buying a house on the salary of one of these young men? Have you experienced the dating market, been on the dating sites as a...
You can nowadays not buy a house. You can be glad if your parents have a house and you are allowed to inherit it. That's my case. I have that luxury that I have that, right? That's my luxury. But most people of my generation, they won't. They won't ever own a house. And their children won't ever own a house. That is just crazy. That is just wild to me. I remember when most of, like, my parents' generation, they own a house. Most people in my generation? Gen Alphas, I don't think they will ever own a house. No, none of that. That would just happen. Like, the most shithole house costs $1 million. The most shithole house costs $1 million. They built some new bedroom, like 1-bedroom apartments in the next city, right? $250,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment. $250,000. Most people won't buy this. It's just like, what do you do with a 1-bedroom apartment that costs $250,000? Nobody's buying that. And if they do, they're not gonna live in it. No such thing as an accident or pregnancy. Every time you have sex, you risk creating a child, even with protection. If you aren't ready for that, don't have sex. True. True, true. I agree on that. Keep your legs closed if you can't raise a child. If your parents aren't millionaires, you barely can buy a house. Most of us will never own a home. That's just the truth.
Young man? No? Interesting, okay. Just wondering. Listen, I know the average age of a Fox News viewer is like 70 nowadays and you need to pander to them, but Tommy, you are like 2 years younger than me. You know this
That's what I also hate, like these boomers, right? And I don't want to be too harsh on them, right? Because they're old, they grew up on the different times, they don't get with that, right? Be right back. There's a cat demanding milk again. Milk the cat. Which is interesting, right? Even my parents, my dad is about to be 64, right? My mom is 60. They don't understand how rapidly things have actually changed. They don't understand, like, even older, right? See, even 80 years old, they don't understand this, right? How fucked up things truly are, because they don't engage with them. They don't look at the housing market. They don't look at they don't look at like the dating market. They don't look at that. They don't realize how bad it truly is. They don't get that. And I understand they're old, they don't understand, but dude, when they bought a house, when their parents bought a house, the house was like a chips bag. Like a bag of chips. Now it's like, in comparison, it's like 5 bags of chips. How do you do that? Some people buying it, for some people's houses aren't for living, it's investments, a monopoly for riches. I mean, that's true, that's true. That's true. I'm not saying that rich people can't own houses. But I do think there should be a limit to how many houses you can actually own. Like, I don't want some billionaires, huge billionaires in the housing market, because you're gonna fuck it over. Like, there has to be a limit. I don't want people take anybody's money. I don't want to have, like, you know, I'm not communist. Don't disown people, right? Like, don't take their fucking shit, right? But I do think that with a lot of money comes a lot of responsibility. And you need to realize that if you have a lot of money and you spend a lot of money on specific things, you can fuck up a lot. I got lucky to have a 1-bedroom, 1-bath park model trailer given to me by a friend. I just had to pay their $600 or $800 for back rent, which was not bad at all. So I basically bought a decent trailer for that. Not bad, not bad. Parents lived for an entirely different earth. So much changed, more than any time I could mark human history in one generation. I'll be honest with you, I'm checking options to buy a car house to live in, since it's 1/10 the price of a house. Apparently, I've also seen a lot of people, like, not seen, I've heard of it, and Frog actually told me that there's a lot of people in the States living in their cars more and more. Like, they just get a big car and live in their damn car.
Isn't true. Why are you talking like this? Why are you talking like a f***ing boomer? I'm sorry, I have no other word for this, but I hate this, like, generational pick-me shit. I was born in the wrong generation. I'm not like those other young people. And you know what? She's not like those other young people. Not all young people can afford a nice nose job and lip filler and get a cushy job on Fox News based entirely on merit, I'm sure. The main problem with this brain-dead boomer-ass take is not only is it cringe, but it's completely divorced from reality. This slop is specifically designed for people who paid like $5 for a f***ing house. And listen, not all boomers.
Numbers! We got numbers!
From reality. This slop is specifically designed for people who paid like $5.
Okay, we got numbers. Buying a home in 1985 versus 2022. Baby boomers. Median household income 23k. Let's just say 23k, 24k. Median home price 83k. Millennials. Round it up again. 75k median household income. Median home price 470k. Yeah. That's pretty good. Nice. That's a nice ginormous bar. Who can do this?
For a f***ing house. And listen, not all boomers, okay? My parents are boomers, they are lovely people. A lot of you guys are boomers, but when the baby boomers—
Wait, let me look at that. I'm curious.
Who paid like $5 for a fucking house. And listen, not all boomers, okay? My parents are boomers. They are lovely people. A lot of you.
That reflects my numbers quite well. That is pretty similar to what you guys' age. Very similar.
You guys are boomers, but when the baby boomer generation sends its people, it is not sending their best. They are not sending you. They're sending people who have lots of problems. They're bringing the housing crisis. They're bringing wage stagnation. They're falling for AI-generated photos on Facebook. But some, I assume, are good people. But my god, I truly believe they do not understand how good they had it. They could support a family on a single income. A single income from a job that didn't require a college degree. Their leaders didn't prostitute away their economic future for some cheap plastic shit from China. They inherited the greatest economy known to man, and they pretend it's a paradise that they earned. I just don't understand, like, why don't boomers and spiritual boomers like Tommy Lauren see people struggling and go, wow, I wish I could fix this. They should have it better than I had it. And you wonder why so many millennials and zoomers don't want kids. I want to make the world a better place for my children. I want to make the world a better place for my children. Ugh. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you spoiled brat. Children. Not happening.
Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism.
Again, I don't believe that not having children is surely... I don't think that financial reasons is the simple and only reason that we don't have children. It's also a lot of it, and that's just the truth, a lot of it is also social programming. A lot of it is also social programming. I have never seen, when I was like even freshly 18, I think this year I've just realized how much shit you get as a parent. How much society, and especially, just gonna straight up say it, other childless women have throw shit and have a go at women who are mothers. I've never seen that much. Ever. I've never seen that much ever until recently. It is crazy. The hate for parents and children is crazy. And I'm gonna say this. If you hate animals and children, you are absolute and utter red flag. I don't trust you with anything. You're a red flag. Straight up. I don't care. Google said baby boomers, 1946, 1964. Yep. But I think also that most baby boomers, well, not the older one, not the 1946 ones, right? But like the late boomers, right? Because let's be honest, the most of the 1946 boomers, they're not alive. But the 1964 boomers, some of these are still alive, right? And when they were like in the year 1985, they were like in the age of buying a house. So that's the one she's talking about, probably. So many poor people have a lot of kids because they get more money in child benefits. So actually, lack of income isn't incentive to have kids. I mean, yeah, it is basically you're basically investing in like a pension, kind of. I don't know how to put it. You're basically investing into the future because most kids will take care of their children. Though nowadays that is not much of an incentive anymore because we're raising children to not appreciate the parents as much anymore. Many children educate themselves in front of screens today. If they are educating themselves, that is.
Problem in America, but it's the feminization of men.
Young men are becoming lazy because they're becoming feminized. So
women are lazy? Good to know.
Becoming lazy because they act more like women? What did she mean by this, chat? I know there's like a decrease in testosterone or something happening, but men are moving right-wing all over the world. Does that correlate with the feminization? Or, I mean, there are suspiciously a lot of far-right femboys, so...
What the I mean, I agree. The amount of right-wing femboys is kind of crazy, I have to admit. I've been on the internet, I've never seen the amount of femboys. I've seen the amount of femboys that consider themselves like Nazi, and like, is crazy. the femboy into Nazi pipeline is real, chat.
Maybe. But here's the thing, Tammy. There is absolutely no evidence that young women want to start families more than young men. None. In fact, all the data says the exact f***ing opposite. According to Pew Research, 64% of women younger than 50 say they just don't want to have children. No reason.
According to Pew Research, 64% of women younger than 50... Why 50? Anyways, say they just don't want to have children. No reason. They just don't want them, versus 50% of men who say the same. Okay. There we have it. There we have it. There we have it.
They just don't want them, versus 50% of men who say the same. Another study by Archbridge Institute shows the same. 63% of women without children said they have no desire to have a child, while only 50% of men said the same. For men, the most commonly cited factor was personal finance, but among women, the strongest reason not to have a child was their desire to maintain their personal independence. Basically, they don't want...
Basically, you could put it like this. Men don't want to have children because they're financially not where they want to be. And women want to don't have children because they're egotistical. I think the oldest woman to have a child was actually in her 70s, which is crazy. 50 a bit too late. Yeah. Also, guys, particularly men, yes, pregnancies when women are in their 30s are more risky, but they're not nearly as risky to say that you can't have plenty of children in your 30s. Women don't just dry immediately up. Careful. Because I've seen that as well. Like this weird, don't have children in your 30s. They're gonna struggle. These children come out as like some weird troglodytes. Calm down. It's okay. It's not nearly as unsafe or like dangerous as people want to make it out to be.
Ruined, their bodies will be ruined, they'll never have fun again, they'll be miserable forever if they have children. And as someone who has had a children, best decision I've ever made. 10/10, highly recommend.
It's also like, there is so many possibilities nowadays. There is so many possibilities nowadays. So many. You can hire a babysitter. You know how that would be fixed? You know how that would be fixed? Like the fun part, you can't do anything anymore because you have a child. You know how that would be fixed? If people would actually have proper good relationships with other family members. So, you know, grandparents or siblings can jump in to take care of a child for like an evening so you can go out with your wife or your husband to go something into a restaurant and eat, or just have like fun for a day. You know, that is a possibility. But for that, we would need to strengthen family bonds again. We won't do that though. And even then, you could pick a babysitter.
And would do it again. But yes, this idea that men are the ones primarily responsible for the low birth rates is laughable. We're laughing over here. But honestly, it's not really women or men's fault. There are a lot of factors that play into this. But Tommy, I really gotta ask, is it men or is it you?
This is gonna be the summer of canceling boys. All of my friends are attractive. All of my friends are successful. All of my friends have something going on. Almost every single one of them have an issue with men. But if all of these women, including myself, are having issues, then I have to think, it might not be us. It might be you. It is not just the guys.
It is you. I'm gonna straight up say it. Hate me for it? It is you. Reason being, also, just encountered this recently. A woman was complaining that a man was not entering an elevator with her and was waiting for the next. Men are scared to approach and be alone with women. Because, remember, there was a boy who was said that he has ate a few girls in school. He did not do that, and they lied. They lied. The boy was turned into like a sign, a message of how bad men are. But they lied. And they admitted that they lied. If a man would rather take the next elevator than enter an elevator with you, that is a sign. That is a clear sign that something's wrong. Clearly, pregnancy doesn't even ruin the body. It just changes it. The function of the female body is to have kids. You can't ruin something but using it for its intended purpose. I'm gonna say this. It is unnatural for any animal that includes us to have no desire for procreation, to start a family. I think this is an unnatural development that is not supposed to happen.
In Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. Quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country.
My friends are successful. Men don't give a shit about that. They'd marry a Walmart cashier if she was nice to them.
True. Most men don't care about your career. Like, my girlfriend dropped out of college. I don't care that she did. We'll find a way. We'll find a way. But most men don't give a shit how much money you make. How much money you make. Most men don't give a rat's ass if you have a degree. Most men don't give a rat's ass whether you are successful. I think most people men only care if you're demanding. Then they start to care. Like, the question, what do you bring to the table, only becomes a question when you become demanding. But that's it. I think most men just don't care. I think people still want to procreate. They're just taught it's oppressive to want it entered early. Yeah, I could tell. Yep. Or like, how could you put kids into this world? Don't you know about the climate crisis? And I'm like, me putting a child into the world does not change anything. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's gonna happen regardless. Because I live in a country that gives like 1% to that, right? 1% to the entire thing. Even become completely climate neutral, nothing changes. Saving money is easy if there's no major spend like college fees. I'm happy that I only have to pay. This year it was $200 for the next 6 months. So they did funnily enough, they did increase it in like 1 year from like 180, like 178 to 200 flat. Terrible. And I don't get anything more. I don't use the library. I don't use most things there. I still have to pay $200.
I think men between the ages of 20 and 30 are not ready, in most cases, for marriage, are usually not ready to be husbands and fathers.
That's a cultural issue. So, look,
No, I would actually, back to your point,
yeah.
I think it's a biological thing.
So let me get this straight. Men are all trash and won't commit and won't leave mommy's basement, and they're destroying the birth rates. But also young men are biologically incapable of commitment and being parents. What? But wait, there's more! She also believes women—
Too bad. We can disprove that. Looking at the outcome of single parent homes and single mother homes. Single mother homes, overall, perform worse than single father homes, because single father homes perform just as well as if both parents were there. Aw, guess that is disproven. Fathers are good parents. The fathers that stay around, that is. Just the truth. Just the truth. How could you bring a baby into the world with a climate crisis? So you're saying we should let the crisis win? Oh, it's gonna win. I'm not saying we shouldn't win. It's gonna win. You think the West, for example, Europe, can change the course of China? Can change the course of India? Can change what the US is doing? You think that? No, we can't. Even if Europe becomes completely, every country, climate neutral, the shit is still gonna happen. it is still going to happen. And remember, we currently live in a small ice age, which is interesting.
Don't have to bring anything to the table.
And as a woman, I want a strong man.
Because ice age is defined of ice being on the planet. If ice is on the planet, then we live in an ice age. Because for the vast majority of Earth's history, there was no ice.
Who is a protector and a provider that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money. But I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Never before in history have women demanded so much and offered so little. So before we get deeper into this retarded, manufactured, stay-at-home son narrative, let's check the Facebook comments of this Fox News video, because I
didn't even quite catch that what she was yapping about, but I can clearly tell she's retarded.
What? But wait, there's more. She also believes women don't have to bring anything to the table.
And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money. But I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Never before in history have women demanded so much.
Which is crazy. Which is crazy. You want me to do everything, and you have to do nothing? You have to do nothing. Not provide financially, which is okay, right? It really depends on like, right? That's okay, right? But no appreciation. No, you're combative. There's no, I cannot lead in a relationship. You want everything paid. What do I get out of it? A child? Okay, if you want one, only on that term. So if you don't want one, I don't even get that. And I'm end up with a divorce. Cool, thank you, appreciate it.
And offered so little. So before we get deeper into this retarded, manufactured, stay-at-home son narrative, let's check the Facebook comments of this Fox News video, because I am really interested to see what, like, the typical Fox News viewer thinks about this. If the women are anything like these two, I can hardly blame the men for staying home and not wanting to date them. Blame, blame, blame. These two women have a combined age of 93 and they have 0 children between both of them. You both have repugnant personalities.
That's also the funny thing. These women argue for like birth rates, right? But they don't have children. They themselves don't have children. So you're advocating for higher birth rates, but you don't have children. That's why I also think Musk is a hypocrite. He advocates for having more children, but then he drops his Gooner AI. What do you do with that?
Type, so listening to this was like male birth control to me. My goodness! Boomers are ruthless! Bunch of sissies. I served 6 years, 2 years in Southeast Asia after Vietnam was over. When I was 18, rent was $450 and I could afford to get my own place. She's so spot on. Nothing screams I'm a loser run from me than a guy living at home in his parents' house with his 12-year-old boy's bedroom decor at age of 30. Thank God we raised our sons to be men, who grew up, lived on their own, found their soulmate, got married, bought a beautiful home, and started a family.
But they were able to buy homes. They were able to afford being married. They were able to afford starting a marriage. They were able to afford starting a family. There was no crazy women that don't want like, that point already falls apart here because a lot of women don't want families.
I was out the door at 18, worked on the assembly line at Dodge and in the Air Force at 19, never went back home. I can't relate to this. Yes, we know you people can't relate. We know. But the world has changed. Why can't you people get this through your heads? I will never let my sons stay home. I'm trying to push them out of the nest. Okay, I really gotta ask, is this an Anglo thing? Immediately kicking your kid out when they turn 18 years
This is a US thing, and it has slowly started to swap over to Europe as well. But though, yeah, this is a US thing.
old? My Mediterranean mind cannot comprehend this. And honestly, why the f would a man leave home, leave his mother's cooking, for a woman who probably can't cook? Not me, though.
I can cook. I, in fact, might be part of the very few people that can't cook with a cookbook and fresh ingredients and make dishes from memory. Most people I know, they put frozen food into a microwave and call that cooking. Most people can't cook. Just the truth nowadays. which is weird. It's an essential life skill. And most people just can't do it, or they can really just do the basics. Like, how do you burn water? How do you burn noodles?
Personally, I can cook amazing homemade meals. I'll have you know I am a great trad wife.
Bone apple teeth.
Now, unfortunately...
I mean, Dino Nuggies? Dino Nuggies? I can definitely work with that. Dino Nuggies are great.
Tommy Lauren wasn't the only one pushing this stupid lazy young men go get a job bullshit. Mike Johnson did it referencing 29-year-old men playing video games all day. Steve Scalise did it with 35-year-old men playing video games all day. And just the other night, I saw this on my TV. Again.
A Wall Street Journal headline got our attention. The new dream job for young men, stay-at-home son. It's a phrase that's taken off since 27-year-old Brendan Leo won $59,000 on Jeopardy. And he has a master's degree in political science, but he's unemployed. Grow up, get a job, get a wife, build a family.
Just get a wife, bro. Just get a job, bro.
Oh, get a job? Yeah. Just get a job? Why don't I strap on my job helmet?
Go get a job. You say go to get a job, and then people apply for a job. For example, at McDonald's. And even McDonald's doesn't want you. Even when you apply for a job, like the lowest of the low, which is McDonald's and like fast food, and even they reject you, you know there's a problem. You know there's an issue. You boomers, thank you for raising the prices so high people live on streets. Thank you for creating a economy so shit many people skip their meals. Thank you for making a job market so shit. True and real.
And squeeze down into a job cannon and fire off into jobland, where jobs grow on jobbies!
The term welfare queen must have fell out of fashion with Republicans, because it seems even they know the approved safe demographic to go after now. Because it's very obvious what demographic they are talking about when they say young men in their basements playing video games. This just get a job lazy attitude is not surprising, but it's especially funny coming from Fox News of all places. Fox News that spends so much time yapping about immigrants taking American jobs. Fox News will talk for years about how Americans are being screwed out of the workforce. But when this issue manifests itself in Gen Z, suddenly it's a moral failure. The fact is, a lot of American jobs held by men are being lost to automation, offshoring, and yes, cheap foreign labor. Companies and billionaires would rather have cheap labor that they can essentially abuse, not pay fair wages to, just—
True. We've been raising the minimum wage here, funnily enough. And, they keep just getting more immigrants, and the problem is that immigrants are, they're gonna hire immigrants, not because, you know, they're doing good work, but because it's just like, you can give them minimum wage and it's fine, while a German person would just not be okay with minimum wage. So, yeah, they import cheap labor. They're doing that here as well. In fact, it might be worse in Europe. It might be worse in Europe than it was ever. Than it is actually in the States.
Good little worker drones who won't unionize, rather than hire American workers for a living wage. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money they make. I remember when Bernie Sanders called open borders a Koch brothers conspiracy.
Open borders?
Open borders.
That's a Koch brothers proposal, which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot
of
the global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state.
Where'd that guy go? A lot of these jobs being taken are jobs traditionally held by men, like construction.
They fucked over Bernie. They fucked over my homie Bernie.
Construction and factory jobs, manual labor work. But it's not just manual labor jobs, it's also the tech industry and business industry, which are careers also mainly held by men. There are many examples of this, such as Microsoft recently cutting thousands of American workers while requesting 14,000 more H-1B workers this year. Some of those job positions include data scientists, which are 70% men, software developers, which are 80% men, and electronic engineers, which are 90% men, and many more like that. that. Another example of this was Tesla, where roughly 15,000 American employees were fired in April 2024, and many were replaced with H-1B visa holders. On Twitter, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy tried to chalk this up to these immigrants just simply being the best and the brightest. Yeah, okay. You're paying them less for longer hours and more work, and they're willing to deal with it in order to stay in the country. It's coercive.
I'd say that they actually have been pushing for longer work hours, in fact. Again, foreign perspective as a German, here in Germany, we have a 40-hour work week limit. You can't work more than 40 hours. You can have like maybe like two, like over little bit of overtime. But if you go too much, you will get sued. Like the company that you work at will get sued. And they've been pushing now for like removing that limit so you can work as much as you want. They want to push for longer work hours. I don't think they're gonna pay much more though. That's my view.
Exploitative and, dare I say, not very America first. When conservatives confronted Elon Musk for this last year, he told somebody, and I quote, "Take a big step back and f yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend." So when it comes to replacing American workers in manual labor with cheap foreign labor, it's deport, deport, deport. But when it comes to replacing his American workers with cheap foreign labor, it's f yourself in the face. Interesting. There's also affirmative action and DEI, which are other things Fox News always pisses and shits about. But suddenly, when the conversation is about Gen Z men, the demographic of people who are victims of these things, suddenly these things just like don't exist anymore. Then it's, oh, young men are all just lazy. They just want to be in their parents' basement ordering DoorDash and playing video games. But it's not just the brown people taking your jobs. I am not.
Yeah, you're cooked. Yeah, it's also the women. The women! I still stand on my take. Don't deport Latina baddies. Or worse, the brown women. The worst combination. Nah, I think the worst thing that ever happened to society is white liberal women.
Not beating the allegations with this one. The brown people are not taking your jobs, okay? It's not their fault. They're just cheaper. Aim upwards. But it's not just the brown people taking your jobs, it's the women too. Many of the dying industries are male-dominated, while many of the growing industries are female-dominated, and stigma around these jobs being woman jobs usually stops men from working them. Women are overwhelmingly entering and excelling in college and the workforce, and they're more flexible about job position and pay, while young men usually hold out.
You have also noticed that, like, jobs where, like, a lot more women are in, like, jobs where a lot, like, those jobs, men aren't really appreciated in these jobs. Like, they don't want men to enter these. Like you know, the taking care jobs, right? Like, old people, like kindergarten, even schools. They're not really appreciated. There's no real push for them to enter these jobs. However, on the other side, you have, like, a lot more, for, like, jobs that are considered male, like, a lot more pushed for, like, women to take these, which generally is not a bad thing. Like, that's fine, right? But, if we're gonna do it on one side, please do it on the other side. Let's not be hypocritical. Laughing at male nurses is common, which I hate, because they're doing an incredibly valuable job regardless.
Out for higher paying, higher position jobs that will make them the breadwinner. Because you see, despite the world progressing and the role of women changing, the role of men has not changed. Every woman is a feminist until the dinner bill comes. But what's crazy is, women might be the ones paying that dinner bill soon. A study from the UK found women aged 22 to 29 earned about 1,000 more annually than men, completely reversing the trajectory.
Not bad. Not bad. Women in their 20s are now earning more than men of the same age. The research indicates that's interesting. Which also fucked up the relationship dynamic again, because a lot of women prefer their men to make more. That's a problem. I think it's because women are naturally more nurturing, so we work better in caring professions. But if a man wants to work in that field, it shouldn't be stopped. yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, if a man wants to work there, they shouldn't be stopped. The problem is that, for example, as kindergartners, right, which generally I think would benefit a lot of young children if there was like a male role model around, right? Just like schools and everywhere else, right? That I think that would be beneficial to have like some male role models there, because I feel like that would give a lot of children more of a direction. I've noticed that because, you know, I'm studying to become a teacher, and I've realized classrooms have a completely different vibe and energy if a man is around.
Traditional gender pay gap for this age group. In the US, a 2022 Pew Research Center analysis showed that women under 30 out-earned men in many metropolitan areas, with median earnings at or above 100% of men's, in cities like New York and Washington, D.C. That may not sound like a lot of money now, but it's a growing trend that has never been seen before. It's so bad that it's really starting to affect the dating world. American women have never been this resigned to staying single. They are responding to major demographic shifts, including huge and growing gender gaps in economic and educational attainment, political affiliation, and beliefs about what family should look like. More women than men are attending college, buying houses, and focusing on their friendships and careers over dating and marriage.
Like I said, women earning more causes problems because, like, unfortunately, women generally prefer a man who makes more. That's just how it is. It's unfortunate, but that's just how it is. I think most men don't really have an issue I've seen men have an issue, but most men don't really have an issue if their woman earns more. It's just that the relationship dynamic, it's kind of cooked. That's just how it is, unfortunately.
The challenges of finding a romantic partner have been made more complicated by a growing divide in education and career prospects between men and women. In 2024, 40% of American women ages 25 to 34 had a bachelor's degree, according to Pew, compared to 37% of men. A bachelor's degree increases net lifetime earnings by an estimated $1 million. Women are doing comparatively well when it comes to education in their early years in the labor force, and men are doing comparatively badly. Men's economic struggles seem to be having the biggest effect on women without a college degree, whose marriage rates by 45.
Men do bad, women most affected. Not again, not that one. Men do bad, women most affected. I remember when they said. I remember when the whole thingy started, right, with like Ukraine. And people were putting out articles, men in Ukraine die in the war, women most affected. I hate this. I hate this. A lot of the time, men are looked at weirdly if they like interacting with kids, which is dumb because a man that's good with kids is a massive green flag. Fun fact, I ran an entire classroom with third graders for 6 months because the teacher got sick. They did pretty well. They did not drop in anything. And I was basically running that shit alone. I don't know how I did it.
Have plummeted to 52% for those born between 1930 and 1980, according to research by Cornell University. Young men without a degree are struggling so much as a group that there simply aren't enough with steady jobs and earnings for non-college women to date. Men are poor, women most affected. Modern women are no longer tied
I hate this.
To their gender role. Birth control has freed them from the prison that is their biology, and they are making their own money, sometimes more than men. They can have it all, they can do anything, they can be anything. While at the same time, men are still expected to be the provider. And more importantly, many men still want to be the provider, but they can't. And women, though strong and independent, still want men to be the provider.
And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money.
Basically, men are like, we're worried we're not making enough money. And women are like, we're worried men are not making enough money. Hello class, I am Miss On Head. I am substituting for your teacher today. She was arrested for molesting a 12-year-old boy. So today we are learning—
Oh god. Was that a reference to that?
About the graph. This is the growth in productivity versus hourly compensation graph. And you can trace almost everything bad happening in society back to this graph. As you can see, productivity increased while compensation barely grew over the same time period. Notice they tracked very closely up until around 1972. Now, what happened around 1972, class? Well, the top marginal tax rate was reduced from 70% in 1964 to 50% by 1981. The federal minimum wage began to stagnate. Income going to the 1% rose from 9% in the 60s to 16% in 2023. CEOs also went from making 20 times more than the average worker to making 350 times more than the average worker. Anything else? Anything else happen around 1972? Yes, Jimmy, that is correct. Women joined the workforce around this time, but we don't have to get into that today.
And I don't think that adding women to the workforce was simply a result of just making women, like, choose and be independent. I'm gonna be honest. There were a lot also other motives, like being able to tax twice as much. There have been, I definitely do also believe that it was also to get more control over what the children's learn and what values the children have. Because, you know, now they're in kindergarten, now they're in school all day, and the state is mostly in control of raising those kids because parents have to work 40 hours a week. Same as that. Strong man is likely dominant. Therefore, he needs a submissive woman. If you don't be that for him, then it won't work. Feminists don't seem to grasp that. True.
The fact is, hard work no longer guarantees success, and the will to work is tied to the fruits of your labor. And young men are fed up today because 90% of that fruit is rotten. Now, is there some truth to modern young people being lazy? Sure, I guess. Every generation had lazy people. And we do basically live in late-stage mouse utopia, after all. Young people today are faced with two options: revolution or escapism. And a lot of them are choosing escapism. Many have basically given up, but it's not like they didn't try. They tried and they found out the juice just isn't worth the squeeze, whether it's college, dating, or the job market. And in a way, many young men are kind of choosing revolution. The never before seen large shift rightward in young men is a small revolution in a way. They're saying, this isn't working for me, this sucks, I hate this, I want something different. This is also manifesting on the Democrat side in general. The young men that are still voting left are voting further left. You saw this recently in New York City, where Zoran Memdani, a self-proclaimed democratic socialist, won the Democratic primary. Young men are tired of the establishment, left and right. They're tired of the system and they want to burn it down and start again. They want something that works for them because this...
After all this, we still have to admit, though, the establishment won't do anything. Whether the left or the right, at the end of the day, they just want voters so they can just make more money. Because every country is in debt. Let's be honest here.
This is not working for them.
If you wake up one morning and you find yourself in a society where 23-year-olds with 4-year college degrees and, like, initiative who aren't smoking weed every day, if they can't make enough to buy a car, much less a home, much less get married, much less have children, then why should you be surprised when half of them say they prefer socialism?
Huh. Fox News should hire that guy.
They won't do that. It's also that the incentive is always this, right? If I work, can I have something, please, for it? Like, anything? Like, if everything goes into, like, bills and I have nothing of that money, what's the point? That means I work to live. Which it should be the other way around. No. I work to work. But it should be a work to live. But I can't do that if everything goes into work, I pay my bills, and then I go work again. Doesn't work.
There is an entire generation of fighting-aged men who are enraged and feel like they have nothing to live for. You should probably start caring. When they saw this airing on Fox News, they saw an angry woman nagging in their faces about how everything wrong in the world is their fault. an all too familiar thing they have been hearing for far too long. But unfortunately for Democrats, nobody under the age of 60 watches Fox News, so this is not really going to have an effect on young men whatsoever. So keep that $20 million. You might still need it, unless we get dragged into another war in the Middle East. If we do get dragged into another war in the Middle East, young men might come running back to the Democratic Party. Maybe not even a George Bush II electric boogaloo will have men coming back to the Democratic.
I think that's actually a quite dangerous cocktail to have more and more men who have nothing to lose. Because if those men decide to go crazy to work together, I think there's nothing more dangerous than men who have nothing to lose. Because nothing to lose means anything to gain. Can I have something for it? Actually, it's illegal. You get what I mean. Basically, I work, I pay taxes on the money that I earned, and then I go and pay taxes to buy things. So basically, not 50% of my income is being taxed. It's probably like 80% of my income being taxed. Because everything I buy, everything I spent money on is taxed again. That's what I mean. I have nothing of that money because most stuff just gets fucking taxed. It's probably that 100% actually gets taxed because consider this, the company that you pay for example, you buy groceries, the company has to pay taxes as well. So probably more gets taxed. Close to 100% that gets taxed.
Democratic Party. Hopefully we don't find out. And as I'm editing this right now, a lot of young people, even the podcast bros, seem pretty upset about the Epstein thing, but we know Democrats won't take advantage of the situation in order to protect the Clintons, so maybe not even this will save them, but we'll see, I guess. Hold on one second. That's better. So that was that video. What do you think of the male loser epidemic? Do you agree with Tommy Lauren? Is it all men's fault? Leave your comments below. I read them all. I am probably reading them right now as you type them. Wait, don't write that. No, you can't say that. No, it doesn't matter if it's with an A. If you like this video, please subscribe. And if you can, donate to me on Patreon or leave a little tip with the little tip jar down below. I'll give it a little heart. It helps the channel and I appreciate it so much. And I will see you guys again soon with a new video, a new slop video. Because I know you gremlins love—
Ooh, slop. Is that the VTuber video finally? Is it? We're never seeing that. We're never— Shue's VTuber video is like the Epstein files. It does not exist. But it should. Anyways, that was something. That was something. That was a long ass reaction. It was almost 2 hours, bro. I went crazy on this one. The yap was real for this one, but it is an important topic, so it makes sense. But yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.